So when you ask about Gurdjieff, the first thing is that Gurdjieff and Auspensky, Russia, Armenia, these are people of the desert. Life is hard. They're camels. They're thick-skinned. Add to it, they were exposed to World War I and World War II. That makes you, if your skin is like 5 inches thick, witnessing the wars, it makes you like 20 inches thick. And all the people who work with them, I mean, you're talking about, late 19th and early 20th century. Society was not yet gutted, emptied of religion and social etiquettes, rituals. And these are not like Westerners. So most of the people who joined came from relatively good backgrounds. And the thing about Gurdjieff was this. Gurdjieff was no Eckhart Tolle. He was no Sadhguru. He was none of these ridiculous, uneducated teachers. Gurdjieff, he knew social forces really well. He knew psychic forces really well. He knew the organism of the human being. He knew habits really well, how they work. He was, in many ways, a medicine man. And what made him different is that he never wanted to be on a stage. The saying that I don't want quantity, I want quality. I want to walk into a classroom where there is one good student as opposed to like 50 mindless, unintelligent, just corpses sitting there pretending that they're interested. That's what Gurdjieff is. Gurdjieff had another part to him, which was because he worked really, really hard for all the knowledge, insights, wisdom that he possessed. He never wanted to give anything away freely. And he said it. He said that people will never appreciate anything if it's given to them freely. They need to pay for it. And so, his habit was that all of a sudden, like Thursday night comes, he sends you a text. We're gonna gather tonight, 9:45. He could have sent you a text like 5 days ago, but he just sends you a couple hours before the meeting actually happens for one simple reason. Are you interested enough in yourself, in certain parts of yourself, where you're willing to sacrifice these other parts? If you're at a party or if you have committed, made this commitment that you're going to go to this party and have a good time with your friends, Gurdjieff says, okay, well, come to the church on, Del Paso on 45th. Well, damn, you've been to that church. There is the statue of Jesus. It's really sad looking. Every time you go there, you want to just like cry. Well, who wants to go there? If you can be somewhere and move your body and dance, have a good time, why would you want to go to a church? Then there is Gurdjieff, who doesn't tell you fun things. He makes you work really hard. But you have to be interested. There is this like upbeat music when you go to a party where it just automatically just moves your body. You don't have to do anything, you just move. And then intellectually you live in sloth, which means that anything that anybody says is funny. Oh, your hair is so cute, and then you burst into laughter for half an hour. And then you say, oh, you got such a great looking nose, another laughter for 25 minutes. Because that's what it is, because you need reflection to ruin fun. Because reflection forces you to kind of separate yourself from what is being experienced so you can take a look at it and take notes on it. And you do that because you're interested in yourself. You've kind of matured into respecting certain parts of yourself. And so to be around Gurdjieff, the first couple of pages of the book In Search of the Miraculous, it's really interesting. So Auspensky is this well-known person in Moscow. And then he wants to meet Gurdjieff. And Gurdjieff says, okay, well, I'll meet you in this coffee shop. And it's like a zoo there. It's loud, it's busy, and it's done for a purpose. If next time you go out on a date, when you go out on a date and take your date to a bar or a coffee shop where it's filled with attractive women, take him there. And you will realize how difficult it is for your date to focus on you. And then it's going to be equally difficult for you to contain your emotions. You're here on a date with me. Why the hell do you keep looking there and looking there? What's your problem? And then your emotions eventually will get a hold of you. You'll pack your bag and you'll just leave. And so Gurdjieff takes Ouspensky to a coffee shop that, it's like San Francisco. It's busy. And it's a test. Ouspensky doesn't look around and it doesn't fidget, just pays attention. And that's a great student where he refuses to be distracted. Granted, he's a man. Granted, he's a little older. Granted, has always enjoyed, such things, the things that Gurdjieff talked about and was interested in. But he refused to be distracted because he was looking for something. And so he made things very, very difficult. I'll tell you a story. I had a friend who had become interested in Gurdjieff. We were both the same age. And there was this 2-year period where he would read and reread every book, every piece of literature that he had found about Gurdjieff and his ideas. He had went to a variety of different workshops by different people here in Australia, Canada. And then he found this book, Our Lives with Mr. Gurdjieff, by Thomas de Hartmann and Olga de Hartmann. And I remember one day sitting and having coffee, and these are things he would never share, but I think he was just drunk after having 10 cups of coffee. He said, I remember one night sitting and reading Our Lives with Mr. Gurdjieff, and I was on page 255 or something, and I put the book down and I was laying on the sofa, the lights were off, I closed my eyes, and it said something from the inside. Maybe again, this guy was nuts, I don't really know. It said something from the inside just screamed, Gurdjieff, Gurdjieff, I need help. And he just said from that point on, he began to kind of put his life within the context of Gurdjieffian philosophy, fourth way school, everything. We have lost touch. I don't know what he's doing these days or where he is, or he may be dead, I don't know. But the point I'm trying to make is this. You can't have anyone or anything part of you if first you're not attracted to them. If you're attracted to them, you have no choice but to gravitate towards them. And you have no choice but to have the desire that says, spend time with them. Okay? The more time you spend with them, and it's going to be a power struggle initially. Not initially, but first there's the attraction and the, I suppose, all the intense emotions that will carry you. But there comes a point where you're trying to understand exactly what it is that they're saying, and then disagreements come about. And then if the relationship continues, and you can kind of be put in a place of passivity or submissiveness, then you can kind of absorb, that person's intellectual insights or spiritual insights or emotional insights. And then the more you hang out with them, the more of who and what they are begin to live inside you. And as more of them live inside you, less of you will live inside you. So without them, you have no idea who you are. Without them, you have no idea what you're doing. Without them, you have no idea what you're feeling, what you're thinking. And then something very strange happens. After a while, you just say, you know what? I don't really care. I like myself to be all that person and none of me.